So why did these 8 property development cost heads form a band? Because they were building up the charts brick by brick. I know. Here's another one. Why did the 8 property development cost heads get kicked out of the feasibility study? Because they wanted to build a better project, but ended up as overheads in the feasibility study. Plus, they were also throwing a lot of overhead parties. Anyway, today we are discussing the 8 cost heads or 8 broad cost centers that you must have in detail in your feasibility. That's coming up. So here are the 8 property development cost heads you must have in your feasibility study. Number 1, land purchase and acquisition cost. Land acquisition isn't just about paying for the patch of earth. It's like shopping for a new outfit, then realizing you need the shoes, hat, and accessories to match. So when you're budgeting for land acquisition costs, remember to factor in stamp duty, those subtle transfer taxes, legal fees, because even land has its own fashion police in the form of lawyers. And let's not forget those sneaky little extras like rates and tax adjustments. Second up is finance costs. Getting your development finance is like ordering a 3-course meal. First, you order the appetizer. That means you gobble up the land, you get a land acquisition loan. Next up, the main course. Once you've got your development approval or the golden ticket or aka permit, you can dive into the construction loan. But don't forget the dessert. If you're planning to hold or rent out your developed units, you will definitely need a permanent loan. Now, while you're having your meals, remember those pesky add-ons that get added to your bill, interest costs, and those special ancillary finance costs. It's like you think you're ordering a $10 salad, but the avocado is an extra $2. Bank application fees. Yep, they can be about 1 or 2% of your loan amount. And just like haggling over the last slice of pizza, you must, and I can't stress this enough, you must negotiate these fees. As for our dear lenders, they are like that fancy restaurant that charges for extra condiments. Expect the dish out for bank valuations ordered by the bank, but paid for yours truly, and those delightful legal costs, which the banks happily will transfer to you for the paperwork that you sign that basically says, take one wrong step and we'll take your firstborn. Or maybe your soul. Professional fees, the mysterious realm where consultants and professionals mingle. Let's be honest, some are just playing dress up with fancy titles. I mean, who knew? Professional consultant could be the code for I took a weekend course and now I'm an expert. Now here's a pro tip. Make sure you pick the ones who are genuinely passionate about doing good work and not just on a mission to swim in your money like Scrooge McDuck. So what do they cost? Well, think of consultant fees as buying ice cream. If your chosen flavor or project already has a permit or DA, the cost of your scoop could be worth 2 to 3% of construction costs. But if you're the wild, spontaneous type without a permit, you're looking at a double scoop of 4 to 7% of construction costs. By the way, I like the wild, spontaneous type because these are projects that do not yet have a permit, which means you can add more value, which equals more profit. So which consultants do you need? Not every Sunday needs every topping, so depending on your project, you might need a sprinkle of architects, a drizzle of civil engineers, or a cherry in the form of a geotech engineer. There are different professionals you can hire for different reports and permits, from building designers to traffic engineers, arborists, electrical, sound, and hydraulics engineer, and the list is endless. What you need to do is whip out that notepad and start making a list of your dream team based on your project and prepare a sweet, structured development journey. And remember, always ask for quotes before you commit. Here's a pro tip. In most development scenarios, your architect will be your first point of contact. Council contributions or development fees. Councils charge for a lot of things. Councils are like those fun sponges of development, the ones that absorb all the fun. Not only do they charge for the air you breathe, but they also slap you with 2 main fees if you dare to dip your toes into property development. Property development fees and the equally fancy infrastructure levy, the umbrella term that is used for all sorts of property development fees. But wait, there's more. Dreaming of subdividing your land or dabbling in strata title? Ka-ching! That's gonna be extra. Thinking of reshaping the neighborhood by rezoning? That'll be extra too. Now you might be thinking, why all these fees? Did I unknowingly sign up for the council's fan club? Well, my friend, every time you develop, you are like the guy at the party turning up the music. Everything gets louder or denser, from stormwater to sewer systems. Higher density, that's like adding more bass to the track. So these development fees, think of them as the party fund to keep the neighborhood groove going without blowing up the speaker. No matter where you are developing, these fees are for maintaining your dance floor. Here's what I mean. Whatever you are developing puts pressure on the existing infrastructure. Stormwater, sewer, road traffic, etc. Everything has to accommodate the increase in density caused by your development. Higher density means higher load on the existing infrastructure, and hence development fees are payable so these services can be adequately maintained. So boogie responsibly and account for these fees in your feasibility study so you don't pass out on the dance floor. Construction cost. Roll up your sleeves and dust off your calculator. We are diving into the roller coaster ride of construction costs. Picture this. You've got your blueprints ready. And now a magic question. How much is that going to cost you to build? For smaller projects, think of it as ordering pizza. Like you're paying per slice, or in this case, per square meter, per square feet, or per unit. But here's the plot twist. When sketching your financial masterpiece for property development, if your numbers are more fictional than a unicorn riding a rainbow, you might just find yourself stuck between the legendary rock and a hard place. What I mean by that is that you must make sure that you are optimizing construction costs while designing. Your architect might wish to win awards at your expense by designing a curved building, but curves in construction cost a lot more to build. So as the captain of your development ship, your job is to keep your sails up. That is, your numbers and financial estimates should be as close to the wind of accuracy as possible. You should also consider the overall cost to accommodate increases and decreases in labor and material expenses, especially considering what has happened in recent times. These changes can be measured using published construction indexes that support the construction industry. Expenses for water, electricity, and gas connections, as well as fees for planning and building permissions, should also be included. The only thing that I keep separate are utility connection fees. These are costs incurred when connecting utilities to the development site, like gas, water, electricity, sewer, stormwater, telecommunication, etc. Why do I do that? Because I like to allocate them per unit. Marketing or selling costs. If you're hiring a slick real estate agent to market your development, you have to remember they don't work just for their killer charm. They fancy a bit of cash too. Normally, a sales agent commission can range between 1 to 7%. But there's no hard and fast rule about this. Everything is up for negotiation. And the marketing parade doesn't end here. You've got the whole shebang. Like slick websites, because who uses paper these days? Graphic design, hoardings that make the folks go, I want that. Old school flyer dropouts, because Aunt Becky still looks forward to checking her mailbox every morning. Email campaigns, and of course, those digital Facebook and Google ads. Let's not forget those jaw-dropping 3D renders. So based on your project, make a detailed marketing plan and choose the channels to reach a wider audience, because that's what brings in the money. Number 7. Insurances. Ever thrown a party and had that one guest who you didn't really want to invite but had to? That's insurance for property development. The uninvited but totally necessary party guest. Just as every great party has its share of unpredictable antics, the property development world is bursting with surprises thanks to the crowd of consultants, builders, professionals, and their merry band of contractors. Make sure every Tom, Dick, and Harry has their insurance ready. In fact, sometimes even lenders will ask for a copy of insurances of your main consultant, like the architect or the engineer. They will ensure that if something goes wrong with your development on account of your architect or engineer, they can also sue them. Because should the party doesn't end well or is abrupted for any reason and you are left to clean up the mess, that's when that uninvited but totally necessary friend will come in handy. Think of them as your emergency cleanup crew, covering you against wild party crashers like fires, storms, and other unexpected gate crashes. Always party and build responsibly, and make sure you have the right insurances in place. GST, goods and services tax, VAT, etc., whatever you want to call them in your part of the world. If you're from US, this will not apply to you. However, if you happen to be from UK, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa, or India for that matter, you will need to account for GST. They work similarly all over the world, but with different percentages and rules. In a nutshell, you become a tax collector for the tax office. You claim back the GST on the expenses you incur, and you pay back the GST you collect on sales. In essence, GST is never yours. The tax office only uses you to do the collection for them. And the difference between the two, what you claim and what you owe the tax office, is your tax liability. GST can really kill a project. That is, it can take a really big piece out of your development profit. So make sure that you account for it correctly. Now, don't let these cost centers hold you back. Sign up for the Feasibility Suite as we provide you with a starting list of detailed cost centers that you can use as your checklist when starting your own. And you only have to do that once. Once created, the entire checklist is pre-populated in the feasibility study automatically. So click the link below and sign up for Lead Developer Feasibility Suite today.